officially on. Becca, I hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Nate, for having me. And thanks to all of you for having me. I know that there's this meme circulating around the internet about how if you ask a product marketer and a product manager if they're friends, the product marketer is going to say yes. And the product marketers can be like, no, definitely not. So I appreciate you opening the door and letting me speak to all of you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and start presenting. But even as I do that, one thing that would be just kind of tremendously helpful for me is if you go ahead and just write in the chat what your background is, what your own role is. Are you in product management? Are you in product marketing? Are you in another role? That just kind of helps me to know who I'm talking to. And one of the things that you'll learn about product marketers is we really like to know who we're talking to. We like to target what we're saying to the different folks that we're talking to. So if you'll go ahead and drop that in for me, I'm seeing the chat blow up. I absolutely love it. I'm seeing some product management, some PM interns, one product marketing and communications. Ooh, some people migrating over from software safety. I'm excited about this second life as a pro opera singer, Dan. So thanks for sharing that. I feel like we're becoming as close friends as you and Nate are. So many exciting roles here. Lots of you in software. That's great to see. Some of you as product owners and product management. So lots of great stuff here. So I'm seeing the majority's product. So as I kind of go through this conversation here, I'm going to be trying to gear this to help you guys in some ways to demystify what product marketing is doing. Why are we asking all these questions? What's happening on the product marketing side of the house while the product team's so hard at work? And as I do that, I'm going to kind of go just beyond the launch activities that product marketing is kind of traditionally known for talking about some ways we can really bring products to reach their full potential and to reach greater adoption. So with that, I figured you would need a different picture of me with the obligatory family picture with the overlook of Pittsburgh. So for those of you who are visiting from different parts of the United States, that is what the Pittsburgh skyline looks like, and that is my family. Since we are all working from home today, if you do hear my coworkers in the background, this is what they look like, so now you know. I do have a background in the software industry since about 2018, specializing especially in healthcare and education. Those are my niches that I particularly enjoy. And I like to tell people I'm a lover of all things nerdy. Right now, my TV show is The Expanse, which is a sci-fi show. So I'm enjoying that right now. So if you enjoy talking about some nerdy things, hit me up. I would love to chat about those for fun. So with that, let's dive in here and talk about what product marketing is in the first place. So a lot of times when I tell people I'm a product marketing manager, either their eyes kind of glaze over or they spread their hands wide and say, what does that mean? What do you actually do here? So on a day-to-day basis, I probably spend the majority of my time consolidating information from external sources and from my internal company, clarifying all of that and communicating that out in a digestible way to different stakeholders so that our different teams know how to act on whatever our business priorities and our product priorities are on a given day. You know, that's still a little bit abstract, so I'll try to distill it down a little bit more for you. Product marketers are value maximizers. We're here to kind of provide that bi-directional value. On the business side, we're here to maximize the value that the business is getting out of a given product. And on the customer side, whether that's B2B or whether that's B2C, we're here to maximize the value that the customer is getting out of your product. So as I go through this, you're going to hear me talk a little bit about some of the ways that we're going to be maximizing value on both ends of that kind of bi-directional span, okay? So a little bit more background before we actually talk about riding high on the adoption curve. And with that, I want to talk about the 4 pillars of product marketing. Now, today, we're mostly going to be coming back to the first 3, intelligence, positioning, and enablement. But I do want to include launch here because this is an incredible framework from Lindsay Bayuk. She has this great article on Medium that provides some background around product marketing, which can be really squishy and amorphous, and kind of provides some clarity and structure on what it is. But as we go through how product marketing is helping product management get these products out the door and help them to reach their full adoption in the marketplace, we're going to be looking especially at intelligence, positioning, and enablement. So starting with intelligence, the product marketing team and perhaps the product marketer that might be assigned to your product is going to be focused on gathering intelligence. So even just like at the beginning of this talk, I pulled you and had you gather and share what your own role was. I'm going to be gathering a bunch of intelligence from the marketplace. Some of that might be in informal ways, such as conversations. Some of that is going to be informal polls, as well as other ways to grab numbers about these pieces of information. And what piece of information are we taking a look at? We're taking a look at market intelligence. So what does the marketplace look like? Are there mergers and acquisitions going on? Is it a really just deconsolidated marketplace? Is this a very mature market or is it very early? We might be employing some market analysts to help us out, or we might be getting our hands dirty and doing that ourselves. But we're looking at what's going on there. And part of the goal here is to figure out what is our total addressable market? How many dollars can we expect to get out of this product, out of the solution that we're offering to the market, okay? On top of that, we're gathering in competitive intelligence. So we wanna figure out what competitors there are out there for this product. So some of those competitors might be very, very obvious. Some of them might be nearly doing the same thing or doing exactly the same thing, but in a different kind of way. And one of the biggest competitors is always going to be the status quo. What are the majority of users and or buyers doing today? Why are they doing that? And what's the problem with it? Okay. On top of that, we're collecting buyer intelligence. I just alluded to like, what's the problem that they have with their current existing processes today? What are their expectations for a solution if there is a solution already available? Where are they going for information? What do they look like? And so much more, so that we can better understand and put together a comprehensive go-to-market strategy to reach the proper buyers for the product solution that you guys have out there. I added a 4th one here that I think is actually very, very important. And that's because I've seen product management try to do it all. They try to fulfill both the product management and the product marketing role. And I want to say I really applaud those folks, and I applaud everybody who's in the situation where they have to do that because they don't have product marketing to assist them. But it can be very, very difficult to be focused on the product and the improvements that need to be made on the product, and also in supporting every single team that's out there. Product marketing, if it exists, is here to support you by being that go-to person who knows and has all that organizational information so that they can kind of, again, consolidate it, clarify it, work with you to ensure that the teams have what they need so that this product can reach adoption, okay? The second pillar that we'll be talking about is positioning. So this is, again, something that can seem a little bit squishy. I think product management, in my own experience, will sometimes look at product marketing and just kind of have this look. It's like, oh, those are nice words. Those words are so nice. Those are great words. But I've also seen the same product managers come and say, thank you. That is exactly what I wanted to communicate with this new feature in this release. It provides the context of how this can be used, of the potential of this new feature, and it really helps people to fully understand the value that they're getting out of this. So when we're doing positioning for a new product, That positioning statement's usually largely internal. It aligns all the teams on the value that this new product or solution is giving. And then we're going to do value props, which are oftentimes just bullet points. What are we getting out of this? What are some different values that you can achieve? And on top of that, we're doing some targeted messaging, which is going to be external facing. So what do we actually want these different buyers to hear about this product and to kind of understand this product? Okay, so that's positioning. The third one we're going to be talking about today as we go through our adoption curve is enablement. So product marketing spends a lot of time, again, enabling different teams with all of this intelligence, with all of this information, with all of these words. So whether it's market information or buyer information, whether it's product knowledge or all of the above, we're again consolidating it and clarifying it for these different teams. So that might be the marketing team, the sales team, the success team, the support team, the customer education team, however many teams you have. Most of them engage with the product in some kind of way, so they need to be supported in some kind of way. Last on here, you'll see launch. Launching, again, is probably what product marketing is most famous for. It's a go-to-market strategy for products and features. I'm not going to be spending a lot of time on the launch at this time, but this is an important initiative. And again, you're going to be launching new products, you're going to be launching new features, you're going to be launching enhancements, and each of them may contain a different go-to-market strategy. So at this point, I'm just going to do a quick check-in. Any questions? You guys can still hear me?
Sorry, I muted you. I actually muted everybody, and I thought it would not mute the person presenting, but we all learned something about Zoom there. So sorry about that. More
product intelligence that we have gathered. So thank you very much. All right, so let's talk a little bit about a typical product adoption curve. So some of you may have seen this product adoption curve in past lives or even very recently. And I have added a little bit of a line before this product adoption curve to just kind of encompass some of the things that happen even prior to launch. So when you look at this product adoption curve, just to kind of orient you to it, a lot of times when a new product is released into the marketplace, we see innovators as the first to adopt the product. These are people who love to be cutting edge, who love to try things new. And it could be a very small percentage. It could be 1%, 2%, 3% of your total addressable market. That's going to be checking this out. And early adopters following immediately afterwards. These folks are typically curious. They're the ones who tried earbuds before earbuds were like a thing. And they're very excited, again, to be on the edge of the newest technology. Once you get past that, though, product marketers and others have identified there's typically like a chasm. There's a little bit of a jump that you need to make in order to get to the early maturity, which typically makes up maybe 35% of your total addressable market. And the reason for that is the early adopters and innovators can handle a certain amount of risk. But afterwards, you typically are reaching some folks who are a little bit more risk adverse. And they really want something that is a proven solution, and they want to be more of the middle of the pack. They don't want to be utilizing something different or even wearing something different if you have like a material wearable product. So just kind of orienting you to that. After that, of course, is the late majority and the laggards. When it comes to some Apple products, I would fall in the laggards side because I do not use AirPods, but I do love my MacBook Pro. So, so some of us can just fall into different spaces on this adoption curve, even with products that we're familiar with in our own lives. As we go through the talk today, I'm going to talk about 3 discrete sections. I'm going to talk about before the launch, after the launch, and at the chasm, how we cross that chasm and get to the other side. The reason for that is, again, this talk is a limited period of time, but also because I think there's a great deal of curiosity about what product marketing is doing here and how, again, that goes bird in hand with what the product team is doing as well, how these two areas can be supporting one another. So I want to highlight that today in our talk, as well as alluding back to the first 3 of the 4 pillars in product marketing. So with that, we'll get started with before the launch. So these are pre-launch product marketing activities that can support all efforts. Before I get too far, I said before the launch, I want to clarify what I mean by launch, because again, in my experience with product management, there can be a little bit of conflation between what shipped is and what launched is. So I think every organization might have a little bit of a different definition of shipped, or they might have no definition of what it means to have a product shipped. But to use just a very, very basic example, shipped would be something like, I have a complete piano and it is located on a cliff in Utah. The piano is complete and it can be used. Whereas launched would be once that piano has been connected with people, once that piano is being played by the piano guys, preferably while their film crew is there and able to go ahead and post that on YouTube. That's what it means to launch it. Launching it is getting it into the hands of the consumer. Again, whether that's a business or whether that is a customer, an individual customer or buyer. Launching it moves it from a place where it exists, where it is usable, to a place where it is being used by the customer. So that's what launching entails. And again, sometimes this is a paid launch, sometimes this is an unpaid launch, but until you have people using it, it has not been fully launched. And usually that launch activity includes a lot of working with other teams and other departments, because very, very rarely, except in the smallest of startups, is the product manager also doing all of the work of the sales team, also doing all of the work of getting people up and running on this product. It's also doing all the work of getting people supported on this product. So typically this includes the enablement of other teams as well. So just wanted to clarify that before we move on to the next point. So before the launch, what in the world is product marketing doing? How in the world can we be supporting the eventual and hopefully terrific adoption of this product? Well, when it comes to intelligence, product marketing is going to be putting on their investigator hat. They're going to identify, again, what is the total addressable market? And the reason for this is we want to know how many dollars to expect and how many people we are going after to connect this product with. We want to make sure that this business decision makes sense, and in some respects, how we should size this in comparison perhaps with other launches. How do we prioritize this and align everyone to prioritize this accordingly? On top of that, we're going to be looking at a variety of things in the marketplace, including any regulations. If there's any regulations out there, of course, the product team is going to want to know them because we're going to have to meet those regulations. We're going to be looking at some competitive pieces. Again, who's the enemy of our buyers? What is the status quo? What is the competition? Really kind of quantifying those things and documenting those pieces so that it can be clearly shared with other stakeholders, including the product team. And again, who are the buyers? Who's going to buy this? What's their story? Who do they look like? What do they talk like? Where are they going for information? Who do they trust? Finding out as much about the buyers and as much about their preferred purchase process for this type of product as we can. Again, so that we have that information ready to go and we're ready to hit the ground running with all of our teams. Positioning wise, what's product marketing doing? We are asking the question, what's the story of how this problem is solved today? Human beings love narrative. We love stories. So let's uncover that. Let's uncover step by step what they're doing now and how this product is bringing relief to any pain points that they're currently experiencing. Let's understand how this product is going to face up against any competition and do that right from the start, okay?
Yeah, I took the rest.
You get a little feedback, no worries. On top of that, with enablement, what's product marketing doing? Well, we're asking some questions like, what is the vision and roadmap? This might be a question that you're getting from your product marketing team if you have one. And the reason for that is we want to understand not where this product is going to be today, but also where it's going to be tomorrow, so that we can inspire the buyer to come along with us for this journey, particularly for these early adopters, particularly for these innovators. They want to be along for the journey. So invite them to be partners with that. And on top of that, especially for the marketing team loves to prepare the ground so that the buyers are ready for the solution. They know they have a problem so that when this is launched to market, they will say, yes, I need that. So it's not as much work to kind of get up and going on that marketing curve. So getting, again, just kind of as much ready as possible so that when the time is right, when this product is ready for market, we can go ahead and hit the ground running and do so in a speedy and effective manner, okay? One more point here. I mentioned a little bit about sharing with the product team. Sharing can be a little bit difficult. It can be a little bit complicated, and I wanna fully acknowledge that. Myself, one thing that I've learned from my own company, which I love about CentralReach, is we have a lot of opportunities to have one-on-ones with each other. I have been fully remote for the entire time I've been at CentralReach, and I feel like I do have a relationship with folks because of those one-on-ones, because of those opportunities to forge both a personal relationship of some kind, as well as a professional, let's get the job done type of relationship as well. And that enables us to kind of share progress in that sort of private setting, as well as align so that we can share a unified message to our organization stakeholders and leadership, as well as to all of the teams as a whole. It is so much more powerful to launch a product when product and marketing are on the same team and fully aligned, and incredibly successful when you share that information with one another and then with your team as a whole. All right, so you've shared this information, you've gathered everything together, you've gone ahead and shipped your product, you've gone ahead and launched your product. So what happens next? After the launch, I think it's very, very important to measure what matters. People have different preferences for when to start those measurements. Some people say 30, 60, 180 days. At the end of the day, what's really important is to have some kind of KPI, some kind of key performance indicators that you can measure. And I want to fully acknowledge that data can be difficult. That data can be a little bit challenging to gather sometimes. Sometimes you can have some conflicting information, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have something. So even, again, if you are one of the smallest startups or you're in a place where your data is very, very squishy, you should be able to identify your marketing qualified leads. How much interest are you driving with this product? You should be able to identify your sales qualified leads or your opportunities. How many folks are moving on from just being interested to wanting to start the conversation about this solution? And you should be able to identify from the sales qualified leads how many conversions you're getting, how many people are actually buying this product or solution. Now, again, that's more of a software buyer's journey than it could be for some other things. But you need to be able to measure some of the impact that you're having. There's a variety of reasons for that. One, you want to be able to celebrate your wins. You could have some tremendous successes on this launch. But on top of that, you want to be able to identify areas of opportunity. So again, very critical, and product marketing should be a huge partner in this, in measuring what matters so that you can see how you're providing value to the customer, which customers you're providing value to, and how you're providing value to your business as well. So after the launch, again, following this framework, here are some of the activities that product marketing is going to be doing. From an intelligence perspective, we're going to be gathering some information and quantifying some information. How are we influencing the key market players? Has this launch made any kind of splash in the market? And if so, what is that splash? Why? What kind of interest are we getting? Should we start talking to private equity? Should we start talking to press? What kind of opportunities are arising now that this product has been launched to market? Two, how's the competition responding? They may respond by producing a similar product, or trying to copycat, or completely ignoring it, or going a totally different direction. I think it's very important to identify how you're stacking up with the competition now that this product has been launched, or in some cases, how even this new feature has been launched. On top of that, product marketing is going to be measuring these KPIs because we want to know if buyers are getting stuck at some point in the process. So we've launched this product out there. Great. Maybe there's tons of interest. Maybe they are purchasing in droves, but maybe they're just not raving fans. They're just not sharing about this product. They're not quite, something's not quite there yet. It's important to identify where that is and work with the organization as a whole to kind of fill that gap and see what's missing there. Some of those things that might be missing could be product things. They could be features. They could be enhancements. They could be, oh, guess what? There's a new regulation that we didn't know about that we need to go ahead and take care of right away. Or it could be marketing things. It could be something around the messaging or positioning. It could be something like pricing and packaging. But whatever the case is, the data is going to help us identify where those opportunities are and if people are getting stuck, why they are getting stuck, so we can provide visibility and share that with the appropriate parties. Positioning wise, product marketing is going to be asking who is our messaging resonating with and who's it not resonating with? Are there some areas where we're seeing greater product market fit? Are there some areas where we're not seeing greater product market fit, but we can see exactly why that case is and go ahead and partner with our teams in product management to go ahead and address that. We can see what value props are strongest with which buyers, and that helps the marketing side to emphasize those more appropriately. And that may help the product side to continue to build those up or to say, hey, they're perfect as is. Let's move on to something else. And then from an enablement standpoint, product marketing is going to go ahead and look at what sales enablement is most effective. What's out in the marketplace that's driving the most interest from a marketing perspective? What is helping the sales team the most to convert, if you do have a sales team? What ads are resonating? What campaigns are working and not working? All of this is going to be analyzed, and all of this is going to be refined for the next stage of the product adoption curve. Okay, so I'm going to take a little drink of water here, and then we will get to part 3. So at the chasm, again, just as a reminder, this is when your product has already received some adoption among these innovators, among these early adopters, and now you're going for the general majority. Now you're going for people that might be a little bit more risk adverse, that might not have as many extra dollars that they're willing to spend on something that perhaps they see as unproven or overly new, or maybe something that they're not sure is going to be around for a while. So what can be done at this stage? Now, this stage can be hit at a variety of different points. Perhaps your product has been rapidly adopted and you have been able to go ahead and reach that early maturity in one market or one region very, very rapidly. Well, a lot of times, then you're going to expand your total addressable market. Maybe you're looking at the United States, maybe now you're looking beyond that. Maybe you were looking just at one industry, maybe now you're looking at beyond that. So there can be a lot of opportunities and there can be a lot of fuzziness in some respects for what early maturity might look like and what the chasm might look like for you and your organization. However, whatever the case may be, there's going to be some significant opportunities to do some updates and some measurements on the work that's already been done to bring this product into that new space, into more buyers who are going to look a little bit different than the buyers that you had before. So again, what's product marketing doing? In the intelligence space, a lot of times as you're getting to these early maturity buyers, the goal is to really increase your reputation. So identifying what your reputation is in the market and seeing if there is in some kind of way that needs to be adjusted. Perhaps marketing might run some kind of campaign if you need to look a little bit more stable or a little bit more ethical. There might be some opportunities, if you're a software company, to do some type of certification, like a SOC 2 certification, to just show your stability and reliability to users so that they feel more comfortable with the solution and they have the confidence to move forward and adopt. Another question we're going to be asking, how do we competitively differentiate? So a lot of times by the time early maturity has been reached, there definitely are going to be competitors in the market besides the status quo. So if that's the case, how do we ensure that our cereal box on the shelf looks different than theirs and that buyers know that ours is the one to choose? How do we make ourselves look different and show that we have the greatest value to offer and we are the right solution for these buyers? And lastly, what's the general majority buying process? The buying process for the innovators and for the early majority might look a little bit different than it does right now. Again, especially if you're expanding into new markets, new verticals, new regions, the buying process might look a little bit different. So product marketing is going to go ahead and do some investigation, uncover that, and share that out so that everybody can be on the same page and know what's necessary. This can impact the product team because perhaps in the past, you didn't need to have, if you're in software, sandboxes or something like that. Perhaps you didn't need to have trial versions of whatever your product is, and maybe you do now. Or perhaps there's something else that needs to be done. Whatever that is, product marketing, again, is going to use that key of intelligence to unlock it and make that known to the organization. Positioning wise, at this stage, there's typically a really good opportunity to do some updates to positioning. Maybe refinement level, maybe a whole lot more than that, as I will show on the next slide. Whatever the case is, refinement wise, this is very often a chance to get market specific if you have not been already, to get persona specific if you have not been already. And that's to say, you know, a 45-year-old in finance is probably going to talk a little bit different, to visit some different sites, to have some different opinions than a 24-year-old. So how do we speak to each of those in their own positions and in their own roles? It's an opportunity from a positioning messaging standpoint to get buyer stage specific. If you haven't done this before as a product marketer, product marketers are going to be looking, okay, what do we need to do for folks who are barely aware of our solution versus folks who are deeper down the funnel and considering our solution, but not quite ready to pull the trigger yet. Making sure that the right messaging and also the right enablement is available for each of these buyer stages. And lastly, this should be a no-brainer, but also this is the opportunity to get product perfect. Positioning may need to be updated for all these different reasons, but it may also need to be updated because the product itself has been significantly refined. There may be new features, there may be new enhancements, there may be new ways to talk about it because the market has changed. So really kind of perfecting the way that this product is talked about is also a key opportunity here. And lastly, enablement wise, again, a lot of times at this stage, reputation is very, very meaningful. So what's going to enhance that reputation and resonate with the audience? In my own space, it's very often things like case studies and partnerships. It could be a partnership with an organization that attaching your name to it is going to be incredibly meaningful. In other spaces, it could be influencers, it could be other opportunities and other campaigns. There could be opportunities to make yourself known for providing some kind of ethical treatment or for equipping others to better gain the education that they need to be successful in a space. There's a lot of opportunities here. But again, enabling all of these teams, whether it's the sales team, whether it's the marketing team, whether you have a support team, a success team, or someone else, enabling all of them to make this leap over the chasm and really engage with this early maturity audience. Now, I talked a little bit in positioning that there could be a ton of opportunities at this stage. One of those opportunities could be a rebrand or even a category launch. And one of the questions I have heard from my product managers is why are we doing this? Why are we spending precious development resources to change a logo or to change some of the words that we use about ourselves? So I want to give a few examples of why this might be done. The first example is is a little bit unsavory in some ways. And that's the Lance Armstrong Foundation. Some of you are probably familiar with the cyclist Lance Armstrong. He was one of my husband's heroes back in the day. But once it was uncovered that he had been doping all along and covering it up, his foundation, the Lance Armstrong Foundation, wanted to disassociate themselves a little bit with his name. So they did a rebrand there, both to kind of give themselves a modern update, as well as to disassociate from something that was a little bit unsavory, so that you could still, if you wanted to, engage with the Livestrong brand without overtly endorsing Lance Armstrong. Another example you'll see here is Colgate. Once upon a time, apparently Colgate was cup soap. Now, I do not know what cup soap is. I know what toothpaste is. And as the product changed over time, so did the way that we wanted to talk about the product. So did the branding and the positioning of the product change. So here, Colgate made some faithful changes to their own kind of branding and name to make some updates so that they would be able to better reflect what the product does now. There's a variety of other reasons why you might be doing some rebranding or a category launch. You might be wrapping a variety of solutions under one umbrella and trying to show some unification there. There might be a change in the marketplace that would require you to do some of these changes. One pretty well-known example is Starbucks. Starbucks logo has evolved as a little bit as their products has evolved, but even more on top of that as they've expanded into new markets, because their original logo would just not play well in these new markets. So again, there can be a variety of reasons to do this. And usually if you ask the product marketer or the team that is leading this rebrand why you were doing it in this particular instance, they'll be able to provide some of those reasons for you too. Saw a little bit in the chat there, so I'm just going to check and see if I see any questions. Okay, so I do see a couple questions. So I'm going to get to those just in a minute. Let me just go back to this though. So I do want to share this. I have not gone through the entirety of the product adoption curve. I've only gone through the parts where we're seeing things tip upwards and to the right. And that's because we only have a limited amount of time today. And I think a lot of us are in companies where we're continuing to see things tick upwards and to the right and gain market share in that kind of way. But there is more to this journey, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions. So let's go ahead and take a look at those now. So Dan, I'm seeing your question. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and stop my share. Say, come visit me and hang out with me at a coffee shop if you're nearby. I'll mind if you're not. And now, Dan, can you tell me a little bit more about your question? You've asked, where is PMM positioned in the org, part of product or part of marketing? Okay, my own team is positioned in marketing. So yes, some product marketers are in the product function. Some are in the marketing function. I think it does impact the way that the product marketer is going to be kind of operationally organized. If they're under product umbrella, typically they're going to have a lot of product business initiatives that they are going to be focusing on during that time. Whereas if you're under the marketing umbrella, typically you're going to be looking at those marketing and sales number a little bit more closely and aligning a little bit more closely to those. So I think it really does make a little bit of an impact in that kind of way. Dan, was there any more to your question?
No, that was my question. Because I've worked in organizations where it's been part of marketing, it's been part of product management, and at least in my current organization, we don't have the role, but we've been talking about hiring folks into that role, and we kind of going back and forth, should they, that group be part of marketing or product management?
I think that's an excellent question. And I think it really just depends what you need your product marketer to do. Do you need them more on that marketing side, or do you need them more on that product side? So I'm sure you look like you're making that analysis now. So best of luck to you. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Justin, I'm seeing a question from you. Are you saying that product perfected is a change in the marketing to match the product or refinement in the product? So I would say it's a both and. Most of the products that I've worked with, because I work in software as a service, are continued to be refined over time. So it's a both and. The product is changing and the marketplace is changing and the buyers that you're going after are also changing, right? So we want to have messaging and value props that are perfectly aligned with the product in every single stage, but also aligned with the market in every single stage and the buyers that we're looking at in every single stage. Justin, is there any more to your question?
No, I think that makes sense. It just sounds very challenging. So I think I'm recognizing the value of the expertise.
That warms my heart. I'm a product marketing evangelist, so thank you. Yeah, and I'll be frank, sometimes we have to make decisions, right? If we had to make a decision about which of these things to do, I myself love my products. I love my products and I want to make sure that I'm setting the right expectations about those products with all of my teams, as well as with the buyers who are going to be adopting those solutions. So I probably go product first personally, but again, depending on the business organization, it might vary a little bit. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any more questions, comments? Dan, I don't know how you do this. Jeff has a really nice link in the chat here about where brand extensions go wrong. It definitely can be true that some rebrandings do go awry. There's a saying about how many products fail. I think it's 1 in 3 products fail. I choose not to believe that. All of our products are going to be successful because we are an amazing group of people. But there's some kind of saying running around that maybe 1 in 3 products is not successful, and that can be true for marketing campaigns as well. Not all of them are going to hit it out of the park. And we've seen this over and over again. We've seen that some of them miss, and sometimes they can miss by a single word. In my own recent experience, making a change from the word complementary to making the change to the word temporary was like a huge difference. And it was just a single word, but that made a huge difference in a campaign that was recently run. But again, marketing is not going to hit it out of the park every single time. We're going to measure it. We're going to see what's working, what's not. We're going to make the appropriate changes.
So I have a question, Becca. Well, first a comment. I want to compliment you on the poise you maintained as your children were not having the easiest time. I know that dads are a little less interrupted by that, but even I would have been like, what's going on over there? So I want to compliment you and commend you on that. That was great, and it was a great speech or presentation as well. I do have a question. In your perspective, and I have my own opinion, and I think we're gonna have similar opinions. When's the right time for product marketing to be engaged in a new product, a new feature, a change to a feature, etc.?
Yes, someone wrote at the beginning. The moment that you know that it happens, I should have a Slack. No, early and often really is kind of the name of the game. And again, it's because product people are the only people that can be working on the product, that can do what they do with the product to refine it and bring it to that product market fit that we're all looking for. There's such an important job going on there. But product marketing has their eyes upwards and out in a different direction and has a lot to offer to kind of show what's going on perhaps in the organization, what's going on in the marketplace, what's going on with buyers, etc., to really kind of help refine that vision, share that vision, and even take off some of the load from the product management team to support there. So definitely early and often.
Out of my answer too. Other questions? Got to be at least one more.
Yeah, I thought what you said about marketing campaigns was interesting, because I think in marketing in general, sometimes there's an expectation to hit out of the park on day one, but realistically, it's your best first shot, and you need to be able to iterate and react to how things are performing. So do you find that product marketing really is that kind of that connecting and informing team that is able to say something is resonating in the market after we launch it or not, and really helping to inform ultimately the campaign team and the broader marketing team on how they might need to adjust?
So, so Mike, I think it depends where product marketing is kind of located in the organization. Guys, Mike is in my same organization, so he knows about the marketing team. For when product marketing is located in marketing, absolutely. I think that they should be the connecting piece. They should be consolidating that information and bringing that to the stakeholders in a meaningful way. That definitely includes product. If product marketing is under the product umbrella, it might look a little bit differently. Yes, they should definitely still be a go-between. They should be a first contact in some respects to how that's going, because maybe it's a miss on the product side, not the marketing side, or maybe it's a miss on how we're talking about the product. And again, that's a place where product marketing should be coming in to assist.
Yeah, I would agree. And I'm also the new person who started completely remote at Becca's company. So currently undergoing that experience for the first time.
You're not alone, apparently. Actually, I have another question, Becca, and I don't know if you have experience in this. So if you don't, that's okay. So like for me, I work in a startup, and we're kind of in like there's 3 companies, we're all kind of first to market, right? So not only do we have to kind of get our name out there that we can solve a problem, but we also have to educate heavily on this is a problem that actually can be solved, which makes it difficult. And so do you have experience in that type of world where it's not just about visibility of your solution, but it's like visibility of an unknown brand in a market that's still being developed? And can you maybe talk about how that's your approach is different for that than say something where it's a known entity, people know to go to your company to solve that problem?
Yeah, so I actually do have a little bit of experience in that, and I can tell you a little bit about our approach. I think it was fairly accessible because then we got acquired shortly thereafter. So that was a good goal there. And our approach there was this: the education piece was huge because people were not aware of this solution. They were not aware that there was a need solution. They weren't even aware that something was wrong. So what needed to be done? We needed to educate like crazy. We needed to have raving fans out of the gate. And that's exactly what we did. We found folks who could be raving fans and we equipped them. I think one of our customers, this is not the most savory analogy, but in some ways he compared us to the guy on the corner passing out drugs and getting people hooked on this new solution before they even knew that it was a great solution. So they quickly became raving fans. So from our perspective, we focused very, very hard on free education. And in our space, there was opportunity to do free education through continuing education units that clinicians are required to have to maintain their credentials. So that was a very, very powerful way for us to get our name out there, to have high quality continuing education, and to have raving fans who everything we put out there on social, every event that we had, they wanted to be there. They wanted to participate, and just really letting those raving fans know that we appreciate them tremendously. That was pretty successful in the space that I was in.
No, that's a really good example, Becca, because like especially in a clinical world, they want to hear from themselves more or less. So that's or their peers. So that's a really good example. Thank you. Looks like we have another question from Kenyatta. Did I say that right?
You did say it right.
Hey, Kenyatta.
Hey, how are you? I don't know if this is more of a question, but I think it kind of lends itself to the conversation we're having right now about the really understanding the stages of awareness, and moving new customers through that stage. Oftentimes in the beginning, they're unaware to problem aware to solution aware. And I think a lot of times people jump way too quickly to solution aware, thinking that people know that they even have a problem. And I think that kind of goes back to, especially in the technology world, that people think tech solves problems and tech's a vehicle for delivering solutions. And so if you remove the tech, what are you solving? And what's the intrinsic value of that? So that you understand how to educate at each level of awareness to move them to a space where you can even move them to consideration. So like just really breaking that awareness down more so than you would think if that was an existing product already in the market.
Kenyan, I think that's excellently articulated. If we take away the product, what's
Yeah.
the solution, right? If we take away the tech for many of us, what's the solution? In my own experience, I can see exactly your point. We kind of jump to solution oriented, and sometimes that can be because we built this solution based on maybe user feedback, maybe a handful of customers who were incredibly aware of the problem, who were actively looking for a solution. And again, we built this solution for them. So it can be difficult to pull back the pieces and say, okay, what is the underlying value here? And that's an important exercise. And that's again where I think you need to involve product marketing and involve other teams if you don't have product marketing on your team to say, hey, this is the core solution and this is the core difficulty that we're solving. So how do we bring more awareness of that difficulty? To go back to toothpaste, because apparently toothpaste is one of my themes this evening. I read an amazing little vignette about how an advertiser was able to get folks to brush their teeth, because most people apparently do not want to brush their teeth. And what he did is he just read and read and read and read and read, because he couldn't find a problem that people would know that they had on a daily basis. And we want people to brush their teeth every day. So he kept searching and searching and searching for what would be the pain that people have on a daily basis that could remind them to brush their teeth so that he could sell toothpaste. And eventually he uncovered the film on your teeth. Now there's nothing wrong with the film on your teeth. It's perfectly natural, but it is something, it's a trigger that people can recognize and have and say, oh, I need to go brush my teeth now. So sometimes it can be a partnership to say, okay, what is something that we can say is a trigger, whether it's not as a true pain, what can be that trigger that people can recognize early so that we know that there's a problem and get that piece out the door and start building that kind of campaign learning path towards the solution from that point forward. Kanina, I don't know if I went off to the left from what you were getting at, but let me know if that was helpful.
No, I don't think you went off left at all. It just always speaks to what understanding awareness and being able to get the testimonials for people to become more aware earlier than others, and just kind of figure out what part of the market that is. I guess that's more of a product launch thing, because you could probably run that awareness situation prior to even launch. Absolutely,
yes, and that's why, again, early and often. That's why product marketers are asking to be included as soon as we can.
That's it's actually a good point you bring up, Kenyatta, as well, where, focus on that problem. And this is not a statement about all product managers. So those of you product managers, don't get mad at me and say I'm never going to talk to that guy again. But I do see a trend of sorts where product managers are becoming more focused on the tech. And you say, well, what does it do? And they give you a demo, a click through of what it does. You're like, well, that's great, but what problem does it solve? And so it actually, like that, in like a company like where I work, when I first started, that's how we viewed everything about the tech. And it was, I came in and said, well, what's the value? And so it's like, if people are wondering, like at the basic level, like what product marketing does and how they fit, they're translating that value. And as product management starts to become more technically focused, the role of product marketing is even that much more important, because again, it's not about the clicks and the bits and the bytes. It's really about what problem does this solve. And so that's when you mentioned that, Kenyatta, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that, and how important that is as well. So,
and I think making product management more technical focused brings about a bias that shouldn't be there. Because if you're a product manager and you are building a strategy for a product to be built, it should not be built with the tech in mind. The tech is going to take care of the technical stuff. It is not the product manager's position to take on the technical stuff. And I think that we're seeing where, I love people in tech, and I'm not saying anything bad about people in tech. What I'm saying is that working with people in tech, it's become so technically focused that we forget this is the people. We're in a game of people. We're in a game of psychology, and we're in a game of you need non-technical people to really be discussing what strategy looks like, and really being able to put something together that then can be built based upon what the customer's needs are right now, so that you can iterate through, right? And so I think that, you know, as we see these technicals, this product manager becomes such a technically focused space, we should, you know, be really questioning. Number one, you know, does product management need to be so close to tech or more closer to marketing just to get it out of that space, so you can start to clearly define customer sets that are associated not only with the product, but the overall goal of the company.
I 100% agree. That's a very good statement.
And I would, I feel like this entire, the entire point that Kenyette and Becca are getting at here is also important when you apply it to sales, right? Like I'm in marketing, so I think about us in marketing in terms of like, our job is to create the best possible conversation to convert into a sale, right? And if they just get on the call and it's all about, show me the software, show me what it does, but jumping all of the points of what's your pain, what's your problem, what can we do to alleviate that, and this is what that looks like that's a much different conversation than just show me a demo of the product, right? And it's like, it's really kind of back to that point of, if you take the tech away, what's the problem, right? Like sales has to understand the problem in order to properly fit the solution. And in order for us to properly really market, like they're doing gap selling because those are the problems they're trying to sell. We need to do gap marketing. Product needs to be able to identify exactly what those pain points are that we need to solve. And that's what we need to be able to focus on and set sales up for, so that they're really speaking to the problems that are being solved and not towards the, you know, look at this software and what you can do with this click type of thing. It's a different approach.
Fantastic. Any other questions? We've had a great dialogue here, so I'll do any other questions going once.
I actually do have one, if that's all right.
Please,
Uh,
Justin.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned in the chat, I actually come from a software safety background, and the company that I work for is a startup that makes tools for software safety. And so I really, like, I'm fundamentally an engineer, not a, you know, marketing is very far from my background. And so it's very helpful for me to hear all the things that people are saying. But I guess I am a little curious in this idea of sort of you know, thinking about the product outside of the technical solutions and things like that. Then I guess, how do you get to the technical solutions then? Like, at what point do you bridge over to that in that context?
This is a question for me. I can take you a little bit down this, not very far.
I could give some flavor to some of the experiences I've had with that as a recovering engineer.
Recovering engineer.
Yeah, I mean, basically, look, you know, if you're empowering your teams to own the how, then really in product, we need to be helping product marketing, you know, shape the who, what, the why, the emotional impact. I think, you know, Becca, you had mentioned that sometimes we get into the solutioning trap. You know, I want a 1/4-inch drill bit, and we're trying to figure out, okay, but why do you want to drill the hole? You know, and why do you want to put the hole in the headboard of your bed? And if you're reading in the dark, don't you really want a backlit Kindle type of conversation? And then we can turn that over to the team. So, because the emotional impact, I mean, it's sort of like pizza delivery. You know, Super Bowl's coming up, and even though the Steelers may not be in it, oh, nor the Ravens, and I'm not bitter about that at all. You know, I mean, think about it. Yeah, you don't worry about whether that pizza's cooked in a Middleby, Marby, or Vulcan oven. You don't care if it, you know, if the thing came, you know, delivered in a Yugo or Rolls Royce. You don't care, you know, is it what I ordered? Stuck to the top of the box? Does it taste like top of the box? So the emotional impact that Becca and her team are trying to reach into, there is a group where that they have to, you know, have the technological appeal. Like, yeah, it is SaaS. Yeah, we are using WS. Yes, we are. I mean, there's those checklist type things that we have to make the IT teams happy with. But I think, you know, I think what you're trying to get to, Becca, is that, you know, we're trying to, as you said, really early on, you know, or you talked about with the toothpaste again, you know, what are the pain points to making them say, hey, you know what, it's worth me taking money out of my budget and putting it into your wallets? so I wouldn't focus so much on, the brass, especially when you're trying to empower your engineering teams to own the how. Let them be the innovators.
And I think that's where people often miss is that it's not our jobs to talk to to tell technical teams how to be technical. It is my job to communicate what is needed and for the technical team to communicate how they can do it. And us to respect those lanes, right? Like I trust you, you trust me. Let's deliver so we don't get in trouble.
Yeah, Kenya, you're so spot on.
And again, I'm a product marketer. I'm not in product management, but I think there's something very valuable even for those technical teams, even for those engineers to know why they're trying to do what they're trying to do. What is the user trying to get out of this? What is the buyer trying to accomplish? I think them having that insight as well empowers them to make some really good decisions in whatever product you are creating. It empowers them to say, hey, this is going to be a good experience, or this is not going to be a good experience, because they know what a good experience is going to look like for that type of person.
Well, would engineering know that, or would UX UI know that? Because I
I'm
think
not a product. You tell your team.
so I've worked on the whole stream, right? So having to control a development team and then bringing everybody on board. So my experience has been is that, this is our product, right? So if it's our product, then I am building, my portion of it is to build a strategic portion and communicate that vision to the team so that they can all buy in. If I haven't done that, then I've not done my job as a product manager. If I haven't done that, I haven't done my job as a marketer either, because marketers cannot operate away from the product, right? I, as a product manager, can't do that. Marketing can't do that. It doesn't matter if a product marketing is a subset of a business. So if we're discussing it as a business, no business can operate away from the core. So if we understand that, then I'm always making sure that I am in the loop with my team to understand what they need to understand, where they're missing the mark, because it's my responsibility to fill the gaps. And so that's kind of how I really work with my teams that have worked, really well in building a lot of things. Because if everybody feels empowered to make a decision and everybody's working in their prospective spaces of expertise, that makes all of our jobs easy.
I love what you're saying there, Kenyatta. I mean, it's just so powerful. You're helping these ordinary people do extraordinary things, as Kagan says. Have you found it's more helpful, to sit there and say, paint the picture from the user journey and the persona then, as opposed to saying, instead of, okay, here's the widget, here's a picture of Maria. She's a clinical engineer. She's overworked, underpaid. I don't know. I mean, what have you found that to resonate even down to the technical teams you've worked with?
For sure. Technical people, they are still people. So they have an opinion about what it's going to be shaped like. It's, so what I found that works is really nailing down the vision and the mission and the purpose and understanding your target. And then once you're getting into that and you're explaining to the team what that is, you've now laid the foundation for everything else. Because now everybody's aware of the why, our direction. Everybody's aware of what the target looks like, who we're up against, why we've chosen them. And so now that enlightens the UX team to do their job to say, okay, well, we're going this direction. What would the happy path look like? What type of, if we know what that person if we understand our target persona, then we then now can design a user interface that will be great for them and be able to survey them to see if it actually works. If you're looking at the tech teams, they have been on board the whole time, right? So now it's not something that they haven't been thinking about already. So it's not something it's just, oh, we've passed the buck. You figure it out. It's more of, hey, so we've already discovered and talked about this mission and vision. So what's the thought here? What's the thought here? Everybody has been given the space and the time to collaborate on it. We just all kind of operate on our own space of expertise when it comes to the actual build or, something like that. But for the most part, it has worked really well because there are things that a technical team is going to bring to me as a product manager or as a strategist or building out a go-to-market plan that I'm not going to be able to do, right? Or if my vision is going down a space that is not technically feasible, if I wait too late to tell them, then this product is not going anywhere.
Well, Kenyatta, if I can like jump in, I think one of the points you touched on at the end is the one that like resonates the most with me. Like how's my UX designer, how's my engineer going to innovate, right? If they don't know how much space they have to go, right? Like the real like big difference things I've seen in the products that like somebody's brought up, been like, oh my God, you brought me the car instead of the buggy whip, right? Instead of the faster horse, have all been because they understood where that line was between this is usable, but just really different. And this isn't what we're going for at all. And that's exactly what, you know, what you're talking about. They know the vision, they know the mission, they know the purpose, all of that stuff.
Marty, I mean, I think Dean, you brought up Marty, is a huge advocate for having engineers actually be a part of the discovery process, right? And being able to rotate them in and out so they can kind of see their users.
Yeah, Holly, and
yeah.
I'd say taking those tiny, I call them tiny acts of discovery. In fact, anyone who works with they start speaking that I call them these TADs, and it's like, I want to get. They also help me with product marketing folks as well, because I can sit there and say, hey, we're feeling around for this idea. We don't want to adorn it too much here, but we actually want to get a temperature for the appetite, or get your viewpoint, because you may hear something on the feedback that we're hearing. We're walking with certain biases here. So it's almost like when we get into these TADs, I'm almost like I want someone from UX, QA, product marketing, as well as the engineers, because each of which are hearing something slightly different. And that's why the question, when do we bring in marketing? I said, bring them in right away. Make them, they can help you shape that narrative that Kenyatta was talking about, where you go to your team saying, this is Bobette, and she's having a really crappy day and her pain's here,
Fantastic discussion, everyone. This is great.
Yeah, thank you all very much.
Yeah. Anything else? I do got to cut us off at 7 because I got to take my daughter to piano lessons. So we can take one more question, or we can call it. And on a high note.
I think this was a high note. I want to thank you all so much for, again, inviting me into your group and listening to me talk a little bit about product marketing. I want to thank you all for the discussion afterwards. It's incredibly enlightening to always continue to share knowledge, to continue to share all the different perspectives and the power that product management can bring in empowering their own people and other people around them. I really do think partnerships, when we're all partnering together as an organization, make us so much more powerful to deliver not just products, but actual solutions that really help the real people in the world that we live in. So thank you again, guys, for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Becca, for presenting tonight. And thank you all for participating in the dialogue after. It was fantastic. Again, and welcome to those of you who aren't in the Pittsburgh area who found us through our friends in Waterloo and RT.
Just say Raleigh, Durham. Just
Raleigh,
say
Durham.
Yeah, because we have
Durham,
none of those
yeah.
peeps from Chapel Hill here.
and Orlando and Waterloo. Yeah, so thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing everybody next month, and also seeing you on those channels as well. I'll have to sneak in. So and again, ProductTank Pittsburgh on YouTube if you want to see some prior meetups. So a lot of good product activity going on. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.